Hello, hello. Welcome to 12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast, episode 18. My guest is Mrs. Blair Sharp, and I'm about to add her right now. Let's see if this works. There we go.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Just another Sunday sober.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
How's everything in Minnesota?
Typical, very hot, humid. So I'm in my house with a sweatshirt on and sweatpants, like with a blanket in my AC. I don't like the humidity, so I try to just stay in when it's hot like this. So
Okay. That sounds like some typical Minnesota stuff. Be super
exactly.
duper with a hoodie on. So,
Yep.
first and foremost, I would like to say thank you. I really do appreciate
Yeah.
you coming on, being able to share with the masses your wonderful story. Like I said, we've been following each other now probably a couple months on Instagram.
Mhm.
And needless to say, Blair has a really good story, very talented. Learned a few new things today as I was looking at some last few minute things. But I'm not going to talk no more. I'm gonna allow Blair to introduce herself, and then we're gonna go ahead and jump into the interview. So, welcome, Blair, to 12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So I'm Blair, and I am in Minnesota, and I grew up here, so I've always lived in Minnesota. And I'm 35, and I'm a wife and a mom, and I work full time outside of the home. Um, did you want me to talk about my drinking story or just a
Not yet,
general?
not
Okay,
yet.
okay, okay.
You mentioned that you're down in Minnesota. You work for the Mayo Clinic, and
Yep.
so what exactly do you do at the Mayo
Yeah.
Clinic?
Yeah. So I am a psychometrist. No one ever knows what that means though, so I just say it and then I have to tell you what it is. So I basically test people's thinking. So patients come in and they sit across the table from me, and I work with them from 2 to 4 hours, where I give them memory tests, memory, attention, problem solving, language, all sorts of things, to test their thinking. People have memory problems or just brain fog. Maybe they're going in for surgery and they need a before and after, kind of to see how they react to a procedure or, whatever. So yeah, I work with adults and kids. So I've been there for 7 years.
That's what's up. And
Yeah.
thank you for they always try to tell me thank you for my service. Well, I thank you for working during the. Are you working from home during this pandemic, or
No,
you?
we were sent home for maybe 8 weeks, I want to say, just because they Mayo closed all non-emergent appointments, and so we were sent home. But we can't really do our job from home because we work in person with the patients. So we went back, and we've been back since then, normal. I mean, obviously more cleaning and stuff, but everything else has been pretty normal. So it really hasn't felt that weird to me because I've been working my normal. And now work is the only place that I wear a mask, which is so weird. Monday's the worst because it's Monday and then I have to put a mask on after 2 days of having no mask. But yeah, so pretty normal since we went back.
And then you left out one thing. You said you're a wife, a mother, but you left out, or a wife, mother, and a writer, but you left out
Oh yeah.
sober.
Yeah.
And so, how long have you been sober?
Yeah. So I quit drinking in February of 2018. So just had my 3 years in February.
Congratulations.
So thank you. Sorry, my dog is like, okay, he just got some crackers that were on the table. We'll just let him have those this time.
It's all good. Yeah, I'm getting close to almost 5 years being sober
Mm,
in November.
nice.
Yeah,
Congrats.
thank you much. I really do appreciate it. So, so you've been sober, like you said, for 3 years, a little over 3 years. But was alcohol like something where you like it was like a where did you start off as a social drinker, or did you just like go into it like me, was just drinking
Yeah.
heavily, from day one?
Um, so now that I look back, like in the moment, you just think everything you're doing is kind of normal. But like now that I look back, I know I remember even in like high school sometimes where I just drank so much in the moment. So I think I've always been like a binge drinker where I've never really had like an off switch. I never was somebody who like paid attention to how much I was drinking. It was just drink, 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 and I would drink fast and I wouldn't even pay attention to it. My husband also said, he told me recently that he noticed that I always got drunk. Like I might have been drinking the same amount as other people, but I always got drunk way faster. So it just like hit me, the way it went through my body was just like fast.
Mm,
So, but I still drank as much as everybody else. So I was still drinking a ton with that. So I wasn't really ever mindful about it.
okay. Now, did you, while you were in your drinking, did you ever see it as a problem? Just for you.
So I had like negative consequences throughout. Like I had a DWI when I was 25. I'm 35 now. When I was, yeah, 25. And I went to jail for 2 nights for that. I had like ER visits. I would fall all the time. And I'm really tall. I'm 6 feet tall. So like I would get bruises when I fell. Like I would get, cuts and wake up with all these bruises. I would lose things, like all those things. And like I just thought that was like normal. Like that
Mm,
was because, my friends were doing things that were similar too at the time, when we were in our 20s and I'm like party life. So I had people around me that were doing similar things, but it seemed like they always happened always to me like a lot more. But I never was like, whoa, I need to like slow down. I was just like, oh, well, this is what I do. Yeah, and I was just like, honestly, like I never, even when I got my DWI, I think I quit drinking for maybe like 3 months because I was just like scared to get in trouble, I think, by like getting caught out at a bar or something and not being, I mean, like they're like, are they really worried about me? Like, no, you know what I mean? But that didn't last very long.
mm.
So yeah,
And
no,
so how did that work as far as in Minnesota? I mean,
yeah,
I was fortunate and lucky to not have. I'm sure I probably should have had a couple hundred of them. But
yeah,
so did you have to do like a suspended license type thing,
yeah.
or interlock? What
I
was the
didn't have to
process
do
like?
that. I think that might be a rule now, the interlock thing. I didn't have a license for, I want to say like a year or close to a year. Um, and then, it costs like so much money to get your license back after that too. I think, I can't remember how much, but, I had to go to some classes. Like I blew so high the night that I got it that I had to go to court before I could get out of jail. So it was
Mm,
like a Tuesday night and the court date wasn't until Thursday. So I had to stay in jail till Thursday to go to court, then to get out.
make sure
So
they had
like
to
that's like
make sure the
now that
alcohol
I've
was out of your system.
yeah, so they wouldn't even let me out of like that booking area until I blew under the legal level, like legal, zero point zero 0.08. And that was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. Like it took me that long to blow legal. So that's like how drunk I was. You know what I mean? But I like remember getting pulled over. I remember being like, nope. I'm drunk. Like, I'm not going to lie to you about it. You know what I mean? Like, take me in. Like, I didn't do any of this field sobriety tests because I was like, I'm clearly drunk. Like, you know what I mean? So, um, yeah, I don't remember your question. Sorry.
Oh no, you were just explaining the process
Oh, yeah.
of how you it took you
Classes,
a little
took
bit
your
long.
my license away. I did actually like, I lost my job because I worked with kids that had disabilities, and you have to drive because you have to drive the kids around. And so I couldn't drive for my job, you know, and they didn't have any overnight positions open at the time. So I lost my job. And at the time I didn't even, like, it didn't even like dawn on me like that was a big deal because it wasn't like a career job for me, you know, it was just kind of like I'm in my 20s, like whatever. I just have a job while I'm finishing school. And so I ended up getting a retail job instead. But my husband, you know, had to bring me to work every day because I couldn't drive. But yeah, so it wasn't like a devastating like loss, like to lose my job because it wasn't like a super serious job. So I imagine if it was like the job I have now, you know, I've been in for a long time, it's more of a career, it would be more devastating. But I don't know. I guess I just didn't think about it that way. And like I've never thought about any of the things that I did as like so bad that I had to like check my drinking because I just went back to it anyways. You know, I just went back to it after everything. So
Right. Yeah, because that that happened to me actually my last job. And my last job was December 2015. And
mhm.
I was more or less like the lady had, you know, when she hired me, she told me it was going to be one amount. When I came in there on the first day, the paperwork was wrong. I said, okay, I see where this job is going.
Yeah.
It was at least like $5,000 or $6,000 less, and I was just
Oh
like,
my gosh.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot.
yeah, I worked for a little while, and then I got bored and was like, okay,
Mhm.
well, you know, she called me and was like, we're gonna let you go. I said, thank God. I was like, I'm cool, you know, because
Yeah.
you know, when I got out the military, I really and truly did not, you know, I didn't want to go back to work. I wanted to go back to school and get my
Okay.
master's degree. But
Yeah.
like I said, I was married, and the person I was with, she wasn't supportive of the
Mm.
vision of me just going to school. And
Yeah.
I tried to explain to her. I said, "Hey, I'll get this much money just to go to
Yeah.
school. It's almost equivalent to a full time job. Didn't
Right.
matter until I until I got divorced, and I started seeing that real money. So, but yeah, so
Yeah.
sometimes, like I said, it takes that. Just that's why as soon as you said, I said, oh yeah, that was my last job. I was just like, I
Yeah.
wasn't really sweating it in terms of like,
Right.
okay, shoot, I can still get money. I'm getting my VA paid,
Hmm.
so I'm straight. But
Yeah.
so during that time, you mentioned that you got the DUI, and
Hmm.
then
Oh my
you
gosh. Sorry. Can I just, my dog's like keeps getting food out of the kitchen right now. So can we pause for 5 seconds? Sorry. Oh my gosh.
only on the live.
I know.
Nah, it's all good. I'm not tripping. Hey, no worries.
Like, why? Okay. 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 Sorry. Okay. I'm back.
So you said that you got the DUI, you
Yeah.
did all of that, and then you still drank. So it wasn't that wake up call for you.
No. Because
So
I had friends that were getting DWI, you know, like people were getting them. Like it was just like, haha. And it was a funny story of how high I blew. It was like, guess how high I blew. It was like you know what I mean? It was like I'm cool.
yeah,
No, you're not. It's not cool. You know what I mean? Like now I think about it, but that's like what it was back then. So
okay.
it was funny. Yeah.
Well, and so when was that point that got you to where you was just like, nah, I
Yeah.
just can no longer drink.
So, I didn't ever have any other legal consequences from drinking since the DWI, and then but still had these like I said, losing things. Like I would lose my purse or would leave my phone places. You know, they knew me at the Verizon store because I would go in there so many times to get a new phone, and that was all funny too. Like it was just funny. Um, and then I became a mom when I was 30, and we got pregnant, we got married started trying to have a baby, got pregnant, didn't drink at all during my pregnancy, which was fine. Wasn't hard for me to like stop. Um, and then when I was 30, I had my son, and I noticed after I had him that like when I went back to drinking, I just like I could tell that I got drunk a lot faster, and it was kind of like a slow progression where I would like slowly drink a little bit, and then it'd be more every time. And at that point it was like I was a mom, so like, you know, the mommy wine culture where it's like it's okay to drink at home alone with your baby because you've had a hard time with him, or you know, like you deserve it because you're a mom. Like it's this thing that, you know, society and these memes and the shirts and like the glasses like say all these funny things about moms and dads drinking and stuff. So I did a lot more like drinking by myself because I would have to be home with him. You know, like now I had somebody to be accountable to. I mean, you know, I had my husband before, but that wasn't enough really ever. So, but now it's like I really am in charge of this other human. So like it's kind of a little bigger deal to me. And so I still drank, but I was a little bit. No, I wouldn't say. I guess I was good about it because I still would get like blackout drunk just sitting at home thinking that I was being responsible, you know. Yet if something were to happen, like I was in no condition to take him to the hospital, or you know what I mean. So, or like if I went to bed, like I wasn't waking up, I was sleeping, you know. So there was one night that so the last night that I drank, I was home alone with him. My husband was out with friends, and he came home, and I was like in the middle of cleaning up a wine glass that I had spilled. I had knocked over the baby gate because I tripped because I was just clumsy. Like I'm clumsy still, by the way, so that's still a thing. Like that's not a drinking the only thing. It's just like was like exacerbated by alcohol, right? I just remember. Well, I still don't remember when when you knock into something, you have a bruise. I still don't remember. But anyways, so I was cleaning that up, and had like kind of like had little cuts on my hands and like cleaning the wine glass, the broken wine glass. Super hungover the next day. This is typical. I drink heavy on the weekend, hungover for a couple days, kind of like just self-loathing, hating, like, why did I do that again? Like, why can't I just have a couple, like, and be done? Like, why do I have to just keep drinking? So it was a Monday after that, and I was at work, and I read an email. I think I got an email. I can't remember if I got an email, if I was looking on the website of Scary Mommy. I don't know if you know that, or it's like an online publication with blogs and videos and stuff like that for parents. And there was this article about this mom who had quit drinking. And so she wrote about it a little bit. And so I dug in a little bit more. I looked her up. I listened to a podcast she was on, found her writing and read a little bit more of it, this specific woman. And then I decided and this was a Monday after, and I was like still hungover, and I was still just like, oh, I hate myself. Messaged her on Facebook. Like I just like typed her name in Facebook, and I messaged this author that I don't know, that I just said I explained what had happened a few nights before. And I said, this is not a unique story. Like this is my weekends. Like I'm sick of doing this. I just don't know what to do. Like before then, I really didn't even know that like people who didn't really have this problem, what you think it is, like that go to rehab or to like, your family sits you down and says you have to stop drinking. Like, I didn't know people that there were out there that didn't do those things, that just decided to quit drinking. So that was like my first, seeing this story was my first thing, like, oh, I could just stop. Like, it never even dawned on me that like alcohol is being so bad to you, just stop drinking it. Like, it never dawned on me before then, which is why I continue to tell my story. And I think things like this and like writing about it is so important because someone doesn't know that you just can stop drinking. Like, and you don't have to have these like big rock bottom moments, that you think you see in the movies or you see on Intervention or, like things like that. So she gave me some tools, she gave me some books. She recommended podcasts. And that was it right there. I haven't drank since then.
Wow. Now,
yeah.
See, I was that person that
yeah.
no, that's what you know. I was that person where I had multiple interventions. I did three rehabs.
Yeah.
but I will honestly say that I didn't get anything out of any of them.
Yeah.
But the last time I knew that, okay, the only way that it would work was that I'd have to make my own plan. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where it was like, all right, just go to each counseling session, participate. But
Mm-hmm.
what are you truly trying to do once you get out? Because
Right.
like I said, I was homeless virtually for
Oh, yeah.
was September 2016 till I got out of treatment, you might as well say. So
Wow.
December 15th of 2016. So I was virtually home
Okay.
for almost 4 months. And none of my friends and family knew or nothing. Only a
Yeah.
select few knew what was going on. But yeah, I was that one. I was that one that had to go through, go that way. But like I said, if I wouldn't have done it this last time, I
Mm-hmm.
probably would be out there drinking. But it was just that I guess I was getting tired. I
Yeah.
I was 37 when I started this journey, and I'll be 42 in a couple weeks, and it's crazy how life has just changed in these last 5 or 6 years.
Right. Yeah, and I think your story versus my story, the one thing that's unique with everybody is that we just decided we didn't want to keep living that way anymore. You know what I mean? Like, so it doesn't matter how you get there or what you do to keep yourself there. It's just that you don't want to go back to that?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, because
yeah,
that lifestyle I didn't like whatsoever.
no.
I didn't
Yeah.
like
And
all the
even now,
hospital stays either. I didn't like those.
well, yeah, yeah. And even now, like I'll go out with friends or whatever, or just see. Even if you watch TV, drinking is all over the place on these reality shows, which I love reality shows. I just like that's my thing. But I'm like, how did I think that this was fun? Like it's not fun looking to me anymore. But when you're in it, you can't see the outs unless you're until you're on the outside looking in. So
Um, Before we go any further,
yeah.
we're gonna plug your website.
Oh,
That's
sure.
that's what I
Thanks.
was trying to get you to have saved and put in the comment bar. But
Yeah.
if you can go ahead and talk about your website and where they can actually get some of your writing, because we're going to take a shift and start to
Sure.
talk about some of your writing. So why don't you go ahead and tell them about your website?
Yeah, so my website is blairsharp.com. So it's BLAIRSHARP.com. And that is where I put all of I have a blog on my website, like a personal blog that I write like once a month and then or so, whenever I feel like it. And then I also do a lot of like guest writing for other people's websites. And so all of my writing that I've done ever is just on that website. So also things like this, like interviews or places I've been featured and said my story and stuff like that is all on the website too. So anything about me is on the website.
Okay. And then, so that's blairsharp.com,
Yep.
blairsharp.com. And then, so where did the writing bug come from? Like
Yes.
was this something that you were doing previous to the whole drinking situation, or this was just
Yeah.
like, you know what, I need to go ahead and put this stuff on paper?
So if you want to say what was previous to the drinking, it would have been like when I was like 16. So I was like, I mean, I've been drinking since I was, late high school. Once I got out of high school, 18, that first year of college, like that, it's been binge drinking since then. So I did I was very creative as like a young kid. So I did like make videos and slideshows and, on those old video cameras that you can they were so cool because you could like see what you were recording, those like ones. Um, so I did that and I did like write a lot and I was in art classes and stuff like that. But then like once I started partying and stuff, like that's really all I did. Like I didn't have any hobbies at all. Like drinking was the hobby. It's like even if we're gonna like sit and watch a movie, like what are we drinking? That's just what it was. So so I started writing in okay, so there's this blog in my city. It's called Rochester Mom. And so it's a mom blog. It's a resource and has guides for parents in our city, and not really just only parents, just this, it's like a city blog. And I had sent in an application to their contributor search or whatever. And I can't remember when the first time I did it was, but I didn't get accepted. And it was, I believe it was when I was still drinking. Um, but it must have been, I should look into that and see when I did. But anyways, 2019 in August is when I started writing for them because I did get accepted. I had told them that my unique perspective was that I was a mom that didn't drink. And I kind of called them out on it even in the application. I said, I'm on your the first page of your site and I see two articles about alcohol, and I can't find anything on your site about not drinking as a parent. And they accepted me then to write for them. So I've been writing for them since August of 2019. And that was one or two blogs a month, just putting them out on there. And that the second blog I wrote for them was called No Thanks, I Don't Drink. And that was the first time that I had really put out like my story on the internet, I guess, for everyone to see, right? So I did have a private Instagram account where I would post about being alcohol free, not this one, but a different one, like when I first quit, as like a accountability tool kind of thing. A lot of people do. So I had done it there a little bit, but this writing the blogs was that blog. And so it turned out to be the most read blog for that year on that site, was this No Thanks, I Don't Drink blog. And so I just continued to write for them. And then earlier this year, in December of 2020 is when I started this sobriety activist account. So I haven't even had this account for that long, December. And then earlier this year, I submitted a post to Scary Mommy, the blog, that website where I read that first blog when I quit drinking. And it was about how that blog that I read kind of helped me change my life and quit drinking. So they accepted it and I got published in Scary Mommy. So it was like this full circle moment, and I was like, wait, like, 'cause this is kind of a big deal. Like, this Scary Mommy is like a very big publication nationwide, And I was like, well, maybe I could do this a little bit more than just the city local blog, So I started then sending out pitches to like do guest blogs for businesses or other companies, again, not companies, but like just other sites that have blogs on their website. And I started hosting for the 1000 Hours Dry parents page on Instagram, which is just kind of like a support kind of page for parents they do challenges like to quit drinking. So I hosted there for a little while. And since then I've just been writing, and then I decided like, well, shoot, I need a place to put all these other writings. Nobody's going to be able to see them. I need them all in one place. And that's when I made my website this year too. And I have no idea how to make a website. I Googled everything and I just needed a basic, here's all my stuff, and put it there so that I can kind of send people there. Like, here we go look at my website. So, yeah. So I now found that I love to write, and who would have known? I would have never, maybe I would have written then, but I feel like I always had good ideas. When you're drinking, you have great ideas, and then you just never follow through with them. So everything happens for a reason,
Yeah.
So
I'll be honest with you. The very first time that I had even talked about writing a book was in, I think 2002 when I was drinking.
yeah. Yeah.
The book actually is about drinking. So
yeah.
Pretty interesting. And let's see. You answered that. Now, you're just touching on your website. Now, the one of the articles you have on there is the secrets that kept me drinking, and that seems to be everybody's story. The secrets, or do these people know that I have a drinking problem and things of that nature. So I just wanted to have a discussion, if you wanted to share a little bit about that article, and then we could talk a little bit more about it as well.
Sure. Yeah, so I think I kind of wrote it in like different stages. So, when you're younger, there's a secret because you're drinking, you're underage, and you don't want your parents to find out. And, as it progressed, it was like into my marriage where like my husband, it would be like little white lies of like who I was with or like how much I drank or how late I stayed out. And it was like he knew what was going on. Like half the time, you're telling a secret or you're keeping a secret. Like sometimes people know, like, um, but it was just like, and I mentioned in there too, like some of them were just like unconscious things, like these acts that I would do. Like my husband said that he knew that I was putting like my not old, empty like bottles of wine or beer cans like outside. Like I would go outside at night and like put them in the outside garbage, like trying to like hide it or something. But like he told me he knew that the whole time that I was doing that. But it's like I don't even remember doing that. So it was just like these like things that I was doing just to hide it. But even then, like I didn't think I was doing anything. Like I was in the moment of being drunk. I think I was like I knew that I was obviously trying to put it out there to put it away out of sight, But like the next day I wasn't like, oh, I'm glad I hid that wine bottle. I just didn't remember that I did that. So but yeah, I think it's like it's not a unique thing to me, definitely, like you said.
Yeah, I have plenty of stories to where places where, matter of fact, even the day I went into treatment, I had was staying at my mom's house, and she said that I
Hmm.
had like a big bottle. I guess I hid a bottle from who knows, but a big
Yeah.
bottle in the laundry room, and I was like, oh man, I'm like, why you tell me after the fact? So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's definitely one of those things. Because, like I said, when I was in the military, I hid, the tall beers. Here I would hide the little shooters of alcohol there.
Yeah.
It was like, hopefully she won't find them. I'm sure she
Yeah.
probably found them, and it didn't matter. So it was more or
Yeah.
less like hiding it from myself. So yeah, it's one of
Exactly.
those. And so yeah, that's pretty interesting. So uh, let's see. Now, I noticed on your website that you have that it wasn't alcoholic beverages, but it was more or less like it was like three different bottles of like maybe like some fruit juices. And I noticed through the sober community and that they make the mock drinks and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Now, are you one to experiment with that, or are you just one of those that kind of be like, okay, that's being made? And
Yeah. So for me, ever since I've quit, I haven't really like struggled too much, and I'm lucky to struggle too much with like being like triggered to drink. Like I don't ever really get thoughts of like, oh, I need to really hold myself back from drinking right now. I just have moments where I think like, I recognize like, oh, this is a day where if I was drinking, I would probably have a beer after work, or which would lead into like multiple beers and whatever else. But so I haven't really ever gotten into the drinking those non-alcoholic drinks just because I don't want to spend money on them. Like it's not really like a triggering thing for me. It's more of just like I'll just drink water because I never really drank for the taste, to be honest. Like so drinking a non-alcoholic beer, it doesn't sound enticing to me because I didn't like the taste of beer anyways. I liked what it did to me. So now I'm more getting into them now just because I like to share them on Instagram and try out new things. And I found some that I like. I do like the ones also that are like that have like adaptogens in them or like CBD type things in them. So it's like a calming effect and things like that. So I like trying those. But again, there's that like I'm getting something from it, or like I like ones with caffeine because it's giving me a little jolt, when I'm with my 4-year-old that I need, I think I need. But yeah, to each their own, so like if I think people should definitely decide on their own. And it's not something you have to do, like water's fine or pop or whatever, like I like iced teas. I don't only drink these things. A lot of times I'm just drinking water, but yeah.
yeah, that's been my thing.
Yeah.
I am in love with water, and will
Yeah.
go to the store and get a whole lot of tea. I don't try
Yeah.
to. It's not like I said. It's not something that like because for example, like even like you said, I'm glad you
Hmm.
used that as an example. But like when I was in the military and I was thinking like, okay, well I can stop. Let me go try to drink an old dudes. As soon as I took a
Yeah.
drink, it was like, okay, it's not giving me the effect. It kind of sort of tastes like beer, but it's not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I might as well just go ahead and drink the rest. Maybe
Right.
one day I might, step out of that and try it and see what happens. But
Hmm.
speaking of the sober community,
Yeah.
and I like I said, I really, I would probably say within the last year, you know, year and a half, I've been, trying to, navigate, through it, and there are a whole host of groups, and some are in your face, and then some of them are
Yeah.
subtle, like, "Hey, I'm sober today. Okay, thank you." And then some of them
Yeah.
are, "I relapsed Monday, sober
Yeah.
Tuesday," and so I think that we were having a discussion not too long ago in regards to the honesty that a lot of people have when sharing, and I think it's interesting too because there are some of those people are truly alone. You
Yeah.
know, all they have is just that phone and social media.
Hmm.
Some people aren't as fortunate to have, a good person in their corner or a good family member that's there. So
Yeah.
how do you feel in terms of like, and it's not anything bad or negative. So let me just say that before. But how do you think that the sober community is in terms of like
Yeah.
where it can go? I say it like that, just from your own personal observation and being in it, but where it can go tomorrow
Hmm.
is more or less for the new that's in getting into
Yeah.
sobriety.
So, like I said earlier, I when I first quit drinking, I don't remember how early on it was, but I did create my own separate Instagram account just to post like about not drinking. So it was private. I didn't have a picture of myself on it. You know what I mean? So like nobody, I like unsynced it from like my Facebook and my regular Instagram. So like nobody, I couldn't show up on anybody's like people you may know. Um, so it's super private because I didn't know anybody else that was a non-drinker. Like in my circle, there was nobody even in like my extended circle or family that were non-drinkers in a way that they were a problem drinker and are now a non-drinker. There were probably people that just didn't drink, like my husband, but like he doesn't get it. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that no off switch that he wasn't a drinker. So like yeah, he doesn't drink, but he's not somebody I can sit and talk to about. I mean, he listens to me talk, but um, so like a lot of people, I didn't have anybody in real life to go to and to talk to about this stuff. So, I think that was so helpful for me to create that Instagram. Cause I'm a social media person. I like it. But it was just nice to follow accounts that that resonated with me. To make friends. Like I have some friends that I've made, 3 years ago through Instagram that I still talk to, that I've gone to like their baby showers and stuff like that. So, um, it was just really helpful. And so now, I got really like almost addicted to that though, like in the beginning, like because that's all I did. It was like, okay, I'm a non-drinker now. Like I didn't figure out who I was without drinking right away. I just was like, I'm a non-drinker now. Like I don't drink, so like I have to immerse myself in all this like non-drinking stuff. So after a while, I thought, okay, I need to figure this out, and like I kind of stepped away from that account, and I didn't really go on it anymore. It was good for me in the beginning, as far as like a accountability thing and like meeting new people and just like, sharing stories and things like that. Um, and then, in December, I created this sobriety activist account. And I think we were going to talk about like how that came about too, this account. But and now it's kind of again another full circle moment where I just like I just want to create and I just want to share my thoughts and ideas and because I know that like hearing other people's stories was so helpful for me in the beginning, just to feel not alone in this. And so I know that there's other people out there that need these stories to be told, and they're like when I heard people talk and I heard people read people's stories, I was like, oh my God, they're literally telling my story. And I felt so connected to them. Um, and I get messages now and people are like, oh my gosh, I just read your post at the exact moment that I needed to, I'm on day 7, like, how can I keep going? And so then I'll give them like a little support. Like, I'm not a therapist, or anything like that. And a lot of times I'll refer people to maybe look into getting a therapist, like therapy. I'm all about that. But yeah, just like as an extra support person to let people know that they can do it, especially like, women and moms, especially as we're like thrown in this culture of drinking with parenting and stuff. So dads too, but
Yeah, that's what's
and
up.
then going forward, I think it's just going to grow and grow. I think, we're seeing like more people come out with their podcasts and there's a space, there's this huge community, but there's like this pocket for like everybody. You know what I mean? There is this kind of group of people who, sometimes they call it gray area drinking, where like you didn't have these huge rock bottom moments, but you had these negative consequences or whatever. Then you have like these people who have, who went to rehab or and not that they can't intertwine, because they do, because I'm friends with people, in different areas, but there's different pockets. So like you don't have to follow everybody. You know what I mean? You can find who works with how you're feeling and what accounts resonate with you. But I think it's just going to grow and grow because it's even more big since when I started 3 years ago.
Mm.
So
And then
yeah,
speaking of so the
yeah,
sobriety activists come about?
yeah.
How
So it's
you went
um,
from not having
yeah.
a name behind it to now having a name behind it and almost pretty much some of the similar
Well, this
posts.
isn't even the same account. This is a different account entirely.
Right.
Yeah, so I have my personal Instagram account, and then I have that one that I made 3 years ago when I was quitting drinking, and that's over here. I don't go on it, but it's still there. And then I made, and I have my personal Instagram account where I have all my like in real life friends and acquaintances and stuff, and people from high school and stuff like that, and family. I never really posted too much about not drinking because I just felt like I didn't. I just feel like people like get sick of hearing about that. You know what I mean? Like the average person. So I really had no plans to make an Instagram account like this, but then it was the end of last year and the Tropicana orange juice brand came out with this campaign. And I don't know if you were aware of what I'm talking about or not, but no. Okay. So they had this campaign. I think it was like end of November, early December, something like that. It's probably December. Where it was targeting parents, and it said, you need a mim moment. And so they were like a mimosa, basically. So they
Oh,
had, yeah, a moment, like take a moment is what it was called. And so they had like Molly Sims, who's an actress and model, and Gabrielle Union was on it. And so so there's a video, of on their Instagram of Gabrielle Union in her bathroom. And then there's this like little mini fridge where she opens up and there's Tropicana and there's champagne and she pours and she's like hiding in her bathroom from her kids because she needs to take them a moment because, alcohol is going to fix everything. What really got me was when Molly Sims was in her closet, hiding in her closet with this little mini fridge that she got from Tropicana. Tropicana gave her this mini fridge so she could take them a moment. And she's, drinking her mimosa and she says, this makes me the best mom.
wow.
Like, yeah. And I'm like, I still get chills when I like talk about it because it was like, it made me sick to my stomach, like physically when I watched that. And I was like, whoa. And I was still following some of these bigger accounts. I don't know if you know the Sober Mom Squad. So it's a group of women who got together last year who made the Sober Mom Squad. And they do recovery meetings and stuff like that for moms. So I followed a couple of those women already, and they have a bigger following. I had followed them on my personal account. And so I was seeing them post about this too. And I started to share that on my Facebook, like my personal Facebook. Like I wrote this whole thing about it, and I was like, this is disgusting, blah, blah, blah. So then all Sober Instagram kind of like went after Tropicana and like, commenting on their stuff. And like, you need to take this down. This is not like promoting drinking and hiding from your kids to parents, right? And so they did take it down. They ended up taking it all down. like a day or two later. And there was an article in the New York Post on page 6, the New York Post, and it said sobriety activists came, on Instagram and took down Tropicana or whatever. And I read it to my husband, and he knew that I was like posting about it and kind of upset about it and blah blah blah. And he goes, you were part of that. Like you were part of that because you were posting and commenting and sharing and whatever. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm a sobriety activist. That's what I am. And I literally quick went on Instagram, got the handle sobriety activist, and then just sat there with it for a little while, like maybe a couple weeks even, and was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this, but I like it and I will see, and I still don't really know it's more just like fun for me right now. I'm getting to meet people and getting writing opportunities out of it. I joked about the other day with my husband. I was like, so I don't know if you watch Big Brother, the TV show. It's like my favorite TV show ever. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I had this account for. I'm going to grow it. And then they're going to want me on Big Brother because then I can be on Big Brother. Because I have such a good story and that's what this is for. But no, I mean, I don't really know. I don't know. Writing a book really isn't, it seems like a lot of work. So, and you probably, as you know, yeah. So that's not on my radar, but maybe, 10 years down the line, who knows? I just like the blog writing right now. And so, yeah, it's just been kind of fun to connect with brands and connect with other writers and people and do things like this and just spread the message. And yeah, so that's the story behind it. It's kind of an interesting story, but you'll have to look up. I'll send you the link of the article for the Tropicana thing.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out for sure.
Yeah.
You were, let me see because we, oh, okay. Now you also another writing that you had before I forget is what do you say when someone asks if you want to drink?
Yeah.
How is flat out no? That's it.
Well, the whole world knows that I don't drink now, so because I'm very vocal about it, obviously. And so I don't really go, and I'm also I don't know if you felt this way, but I was I felt like I was a huge extrovert before, when I was drinking, right? I was if we're dancing on tables, I'm dancing on tables. If we're going out, I'm talking to everybody in the bar, loud, obnoxious, whatever. And since then I've become I realized, oh no, I am an introvert. Please do not put me around groups of people, and if I am, just short amounts of time. So I usually stick around with my close friends. And so everybody knows that I don't drink. So I don't really get offered a drink too often. But usually I'll just say, no, I'm good, or, something like that. But, yeah, because I think that's one of the biggest things people are so worried about when they first quit is oh gosh, what am I going to say when somebody asks about it or whatever. And now I'm, which it takes time. I'm just nah, I don't drink anymore. I quit drinking. I'll tell them my life story if they want to hear it, yeah. So I'm open about it, and kind of proud. I think it's a big, one of the the most brave things, I guess, I've done, that I'm most proud of in my life. I think it's not a thing that anybody can do, that just anybody can do, to be honest.
Right.
Which is why people stay stuck for so long. People stay stuck and go back to it so often, how long it takes people to actually do it. It's just hard because of society and your friends and your family are doing it. And you can't go down the street without seeing a billboard. You know what I mean? It's not like so it's hard, but long story short.
When I first got sober, because I was able to just transition from a homeless shelter to, from the rehab to my apartment. And within a couple of weeks, I was at grad school. So it was I really didn't have the time to necessarily think about drinking. It was all right, I turn papers to write, And I haven't really, because I did grad school. I started grad school actually in 2014 at the University of Texas, El Paso, while I was in the
Oh,
Army.
okay.
But that was the goal. And see, I'm gonna give you this quick one.
Yeah.
2012, when I was going to get out the Army, I was going to stay in North Carolina. Was going to go to North Carolina State for grad school. That was
Hmm.
2014. I was going to get out the Army. Same thing. Stay in El Paso. Get the degree.
Hmm.
Both times I was married. Now finally, here it is. The third time I'm working on this grad school. Now I'm in the process of trying to put together the divorce and going to school, making sure I'm going to class every day, trying to maintain being sober, all of this alone because
Yeah.
I don't have any family in St. Cloud except for
Right.
my one of my buddies from college. His dad was still working at the school, and a couple of
Okay.
the old advisors, but still was like I'm in my 30s. Like these people,
Yeah.
it would be different if I was in my 20s doing it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it was just one of those things where it was like I didn't think I could do it. I know, especially the time before that, when I got out of treatment, I literally went from treatment straight to give me something to drink. The
Yeah.
two times before that, so it just, I guess for me, I was scared. I was afraid.
Hmm.
In the hospital, my pancreas gave out on me in
Yeah. Wow.
2016. So I guess for me, it was like I just knew that like if I didn't make these changes, I wouldn't be on this earth too much longer. So.
Yeah.
And then that's good, and I'm glad you mentioned it too, because see, you're giving it, from a perspective of other people. It's like, you have it where it's like myself, who did the rehab stints a couple different times, and like you said, scrapes, bruises. I got all those just.
Hmm. Yeah.
But we all have the same story. Is that okay? Where we got to a point to get sober,
Yeah.
whatever mishaps it may be. But it's like, okay, we're here now, and now we're trying to do other things to share to others, to know like, okay, it is possible. It
Right.
is, but
Right.
you got to be willing and wanting to do it. And
Yep.
that's what a lot of people have issues with. And then,
Yep.
but yeah, I wanted to also share with you that interesting thing that, like, I went to a gathering, I think it was about a month or so ago, with a buddy of mine, and he had, it was just all guys, they're all hanging out drinking. Now, mind you, I'm the only one in here. Everybody
Yeah.
came with bottles. They're looking at me like, why is this guy
Where's
just
yours?
yeah,
Yeah.
a gallon of water? I'm like, this is all I drink. And so we go outside, they're barbecuing in the back. We go out into the garage, and the guy was like, man, you sure you don't want to drink? I said, man, look, I don't drink. He was like,
Mhm.
so will you ever go back to drinking? I said, if I go back to drinking, it's going to kill me. And I left it at that, because, and he was like,
That'll
well, I
shut
don't.
him down real quick. Yeah.
And that's the luxury, is that, not to say that like you want to tell the story to scare somebody, but you're telling
But
the
yeah,
story.
it's the
Okay.
truth. It's
Yeah.
the truth. You know what I mean? You asked. Like, you asked. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so
Yeah.
and I wanted to say too that and I know I'm jumping around the subject, but I wanted to
That's
touch.
fine. That's fine.
But yeah, one thing that I do like about your current Instagram page,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
sobriety activist, please follow her on that. That you do offer a lot of, like you said, encouraging posts, where it's like you
Hmm.
just don't know when that person, it could be male or female, that
Hmm.
they may just need to see that at that moment. They could be having the
Right.
worst, and you just posted something like that. And that's where I think that, even in my case, is like I need to be more active with that. It's like, okay, I'm having a bad night. Maybe I
Hmm.
can go ahead and post something that might
Yeah.
be able to help somebody else. And that's what like I said, all this is new to me, because like I ain't gonna say like the attention, but it's hard because like I got to get up here every single day and talk about
Yeah.
sobriety, and and I don't have to, but I choose to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and it's a good feeling because, like I told you earlier, I worked in radio, talked about the latest and greatest hip hop artists, songs,
Yep.
but I'm talking about a whole nother lifestyle of something that
Yeah.
I know nothing about. But I enjoy it because I'm learning
Yeah.
something new each
Yep.
day with and meeting good people as well. So,
Yeah.
let me see. Hold on.
And as soon as I feel like, oh, like are my words even like reaching anybody? Like, what am I doing here? You know, because we all have those like self-doubt moments and like imposter syndrome and stuff. As soon as that happens, like I swear the universe like is listening at all times because like I have so many moments where that happens and then I'll get a DM from somebody and they're like, "Hey, I'm a mom. I've just listened to this podcast you were on or whatever. Like, you're telling my story. Like, what do you suggest I read first or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Just keep doing it. Like, stop thinking you're, you know, whatever. So yeah,
You're not reaching enough people per se.
yeah, like,
I feel the same way too because I'm like, man, I'm like, and I, like I said, I drank with the best of them. And a lot of
yeah,
people that I was in the military with are like super duper surprised. They, say the last thing like, Watson, I'm surprised that you no longer drink. I said, I'm surprised too. I said,
yeah,
especially
same.
for as long as I drank and I did not care. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? For that stretch of 12 years, I just did not care how much it hurt me and hurt anybody else. It was just that I needed to be drunk. And you know what I'm
right.
saying? So, but that's cool. I really would, I need to get on it. So I would say keep, posting
Yeah,
those things because you never know. You know what I'm saying? It could be
yeah,
one person that one day and it could
mhm,
be 1,000 the next. It just depends on the
right.
social media's algorithms. I guess you
I
could say
know.
who's gonna
Yeah,
view
the
it.
algorithm.
Yeah.
I keep like a little, like I have a Google, you know, the Google Doc app on my phone. So I'll think of something randomly, like in the middle of the day, like a quote in my head that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like so mind blowing. Like that makes so much sense. And so I'll like quick write it down and then I'll come back to it later and then I'll like kind of write more about it, like for a post or something like that. So or I just like I love quotes from like other people or like when I'm listening to podcasts, I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's such a mind-blowing concept that they just said. So I'll like rewind it and write it down and then I'll share that like as a post, you know? So like there's just so much information out there, which can be overwhelming, I think, too, in this like community on Instagram. So it can be overwhelming. So just as a reminder to people, like just follow who you think you align with. Like you don't have to follow everybody because that's a lot. Like that's a lot of sobriety. And somebody joked about it once. Like we're all just here on Instagram, like yelling at each other about sobriety, shaking our LaCroix in our hands at each other, like you know, our seltzer waters, because that's really all it is, you know, on this Instagram
Yeah.
world here. But yeah, you just never know who you're gonna connect with. So
Yeah. For sure. And let's see. All right. Hold on. Okay. And we're gonna. I just want to ask one question about.
yeah,
Let me see. Let me see. We don't have to really talk about that because that just generalizes. That was about the drinking climate out there. I don't think it's
oh
yeah
yeah.
yeah. So we can leave that out. And then um, let's see. Hmm. There we go. And this will be like more or less the conclusion of it.
Sure.
Um, but as you continue to grow, did I already asked you that? I asked you your future plans already.
No, you didn't, but I kind of talked about it, but no, you didn't
No.
ask. I didn't
Okay.
really talk about it too much,
Okay.
but
Yeah. Well. Okay. As you continue to grow within the sober community, um, what are some of your plans and to
yeah.
to to expand your name, your brand, and how you trying to portray the message or your message.
Yeah. That's a great question. I don't know if I have an answer for that. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing right now because I think if I get too hung up, I think in the beginning of this, I got too hung up on like, what am I doing it for? what's the end game? And now it's just more like just keep doing what you're doing. And as I do that, then more opportunities have come my way without me even trying. Like I'll get an email about like, hey, can you write this blog for blah, blah, blah. Sure, great. And I have a full-time job and I'm a parent, so and a wife. And so I'm busy. And so when I can carve out time to like make these posts and write my blogs, I do, but I try to prioritize, being a mom to a busy 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old boy. It's quite busy, who needs my attention. So I try to prioritize that with the writing, but I'm just going to continue to write. If I could like write as a job, like that would be ideal, but I don't know that that's just like with retirement, money, like to have money for when I retire someday and things like that. I could see myself dropping maybe hours at work and stuff like that, but not full time writing. I don't know, unless I have this big great opportunity that came my way. But writing is like my thing. So I've been just doing a lot of that, and I'm going to keep doing that. And I'd like to learn more about different types of writing, like copywriting and stuff like that. I think I would like to do that kind of thing, but I don't have any experience in it. So like I need to learn a little bit more. So maybe long game, more writing. That's the answer.
That's my goal too. I have
Yeah.
a few books brewing in my mind.
Ooh.
I just don't know which one I want to put out there next, but
Yeah.
there'll definitely be another book out before the year is over. And so what advice would you have or give to
Yeah.
someone that like you said yourself, you went off of just reading a post and responding, reaching out to somebody, and that was what helped you decide
Mhm.
to stop drinking. So what advice would you give someone else that might, that may come into your box next and ask that
Right.
question?
Yeah. So if you're contemplating, is my drinking a problem? It's probably a problem. Like a person who doesn't have an issue with alcohol, or no matter what it is, maybe you're just sick of being hungover and tired. It doesn't have to be this huge, like we said, you don't have to be in jail. Like, it doesn't have to be this huge thing. If you're not liking the way that you're feeling from drinking, try to not drink for a little bit, try 2 weeks, try a month. There's all these challenges, there's like dry July, sober October, like all these little things, like you could do it whenever you want. But just try it and see if you feel a difference. And I think you will. I think you will, because there will be one. And even just recognizing, I think another thing for me was recognizing how ingrained our society is with alcohol messaging. You know what I mean? Like now you can't, it's like one of those things you can't unsee. Like when you get a new car, you see that car everywhere, but you like never saw the car before. It's like that. Like on movies and TV shows, there's always a glass of wine sitting right there. Like you just recognize those things. And so I think when you step back from when you step back from it a little bit, you see that and you start to look at it a different way, especially these like wine mom memes and wine mom jokes and stuff like that. It's like, we're joking about like, we need alcohol because, to cope with parenting. It's like really not that funny. Like, so I think, yeah, so just try it. You'll see what you notice, see if you feel better. If you feel better, why don't you just keep doing it for a little bit? Follow these Instagram accounts that you resonate with. Search a hashtag. You can search hashtags on Instagram. Like you can search hashtag sober, hashtag sobriety, and you can like, or alcohol free or whatever, whatever it is. And just read people's stories. Like I really like reading like addiction memoirs, like drugs and alcohol addiction memoirs, like people's stories, and the book that I read right away was called This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. And she also has like a 30-day alcohol-free experiment that you can try. But that book like blew my mind, and that like helped so much in the beginning, just learning about like, hey, we don't actually need to drink like we think we do, that people are like telling us we need to do all the time. But yeah, so just try it and don't beat yourself up if you go back. If you go back, figure out why you went back. Like, is it because you were stressed? So like next time, like try something else if you're stressed. Like just learn from those experiences, I think. And sometimes it's a long road for people. It's not just like this, I'm going to quit and it's done. Like, me, I just quit and I'm done. The world is perfect again. Like, no, but sometimes people have these like moments where it's like over and over and over, and that's fine. Just figure out what you learn from each of those going forward. So, and it's possible. That's the big thing. It's possible. Like, you don't need it. I want to like yell that from the rooftops. Like, like you don't need it as much as you think you do. But
And then I'm gonna have you go ahead and plug
sure.
all your social media stuff handles again, and then I got something else after that. So go ahead and you can just share one more. To get off.
Yeah. So my website is blairsharp.com, BLAIRSHARP.com. And then my Instagram is Sobriety Activist. And then my Facebook page is the Facebook page is just kind of a page. It's not a group really. It's just a page where I kind of put all my writing there because there's people that I'm, family and friends that don't follow me on Instagram, but it's just called Blair Sharp -writer. So that's that there. I think that's it.
Okay. And you can get 12 Faces of Sober merch on 12facesofsober.com. You can click on the gold tee for the t-shirts. You can click on the gray hoodie for the hoodies. You could also click on merchandise for the actual book cover t-shirts and hoodies as well. And I got coffee mugs, neck gaiters, all that good stuff. And once again, Blair, I want to say thank you so very much for being my guest and, sharing your story and sharing to others that there is hope in this world of sobriety and good opportunities are there, as helping other people and, posting these, encouraging words that you never know that can, that those who truly need it. So I want to say thank you. I'm going to continue to follow you and continue see you grow within the community because, like I said, the community needs more people like you, definitely. So
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate having you having me on, and this has been great. Okay. I love these conversations, so I keep doing these. I love watching things like this, so they're great.
Thank you again. I look forward to checking with you. We're gonna do a follow up soon. But we'll do a follow up. And like I said, I wish you nothing but continued success and the best of luck. And
same to you.
12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast, episode 18. And I'm gonna continue to put out good content for you guys to watch and learn stuff from. So thank you so much again. Have a wonderful night, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thanks. Bye, everybody.
All right.